So this is going to be my review of Superman Ending Battle. Now, Superman Ending Battle was actually a book I suggested one of my friends, F.W. Waller, read, and he thought it was okay. And to each his own, but I really enjoy this story, and I've been meaning to review this for the longest time, but I've never really had the time, so I figured, how about now? So the story is that, in a nutshell, one of Superman's villains, and not Luthor, has pretty much put two and two together that Superman and Clark Kent are the same person. So what does this guy do? He decides, you know what? We're gonna have fun here. I'm gonna actually, if you don't want to be spoiled, who it is, because I'm just gonna go outright and say it. I suggest you turn off the video right now. So I'm gonna wait for a few seconds for those who don't want to be spoiled. Okay, so if you're still here, you want to be spoiled, and the main villain here, like I said, is not Lex Luthor, it's Manchester Black. For those who remember Manchester Black, he was basically a character who, he was kind of like a parody, him and the rest of the group called the Elite, who are soon to get their first animated appearance, or at least I believe so, this is going to be their first animated appearance in Superman vs. the Elite, which is coming out, I believe, this summer of this year. Yeah, that's going to be the next DC animated movie. But what Manchester Black does is basically send a psychic link to every one of Superman's villains, brings them together to hunt down and attack Superman's friends and family. And I gotta say, this is like, I really don't want to compare it to a Superman version of Batman Nightfall. But in some aspects, it's kind of like that, where Manchester Black, the whole point that he's trying to do is not like Bane, where he tried to prove he wanted to break Batman physically and just become like a ruler of Gotham in some aspect. Manchester Black just wanted to break Superman and say, you know what, even though you're all superpowered and you're an alien, you're human like the rest of us. You have your limits, and I'm gonna break them. So that was the whole idea Black had when he decided to go about doing this. And I gotta say, this story alone, this is why Manchester Black is kind of like one of those underrated Superman villains, but I feel like he's a lot more dangerous because of this story. So, continuing on, the first two villains that Superman encounters are Neutron and the Master Jailer. Now, yes, when I say Superman's villains, I'm not talking about just Mongol or Metallo. They're in here. Mongol, Metallo, Silver Banshee, Bizarro are all in here. And no, the Parasite is not in here. Reason being, if I remember my continuity right, and this is all pre-52, if I remember my continuity right, Parasite was currently dead, or in some kind of coma, I believe, when all this was going on. Because before this, Superman and the Parasite battled, and Parasite drained Superman's powers, not knowing that Superman was dying of like this kryptonite poisoning. And when he absorbed a bit of like Superman's energy or blood or whatever, he took in all of that kryptonite poisoning, and since he had like the Kryptonian powers now, it killed him or put him in a coma again. So that kind of explains why he wasn't in this story. But anyway, regarding all the other villains, all of Superman's lesser-known villains are known in here, like Bug-Eye Bandit, the Atomic Skull, the Rat Catcher. Yes, these are actual villains, people. Fire Fist. All these different supervillains from Superman's past. And I will agree with F.W. Waller on the aspect that this story really doesn't focus on Superman battling them. It's just him stopping them from hurting his friends and family. But then again, some of these villains are kind of irrelevant, and they were meant just to confuse Superman and just slow him down. But even though Superman takes them down pretty easily, he pretty much it's just pretty much nostalgia is what I'm trying to say. When they bring in Superman's other villains, even though they don't play a big role in here, they're just meant to wear down Superman. So, going on, there's actually, before I go any further, there's this really cool scene involving the Atomic Skull and the Kent family. It takes place in Smallville, on the Kent farm, and Martha and Jonathan Kent are already up and ready for breakfast, and they're wondering, where's Connor Kent, Superboy? And then suddenly the wall is blasted open, and in walks Atomic Skull, holding a very beaten down Superboy, and he actually is about to kill Martha Kent, and then out of nowhere, Jonathan Kent, Pa Kent, comes up behind Atomic Skull with a shotgun and blows Atomic Skull's face off. Even though he is a skull, he actually he shoots Atomic Skull in the face and actually ruptures his containment suit, and Superman takes him out from there. So I was like, damn, points for Pa Kent right there. The dude took a shotgun to one of Superman's lesser-known but deadlier villains. But in terms of the rest of the story, Superman is really taken to his breaking points in some ways, because he's just mentally and physically worn out. Even though this is a guy who can, fly all the way probably to the sun and back, he has his limits. He needs his rest, and he's just thrown hit after hit. Especially, it's really cool to see Superman come back to... Well, actually, no, there's one scene out of all this entire story where, outside of the climax between the fight between Superman and Manchester Black, which is awesome, and it really stands for what Superman is. It really stands a testament to Superman's character. But there's this really cool scene between Superman and Lex Luthor, and Superman thinks it's Luthor behind all this. And keep in mind, guys, this is the same time period when Lex Luthor was president. So he goes to this secret hideout, and it's probably one of the coolest dialogue between Superman and Lex ever. And Lex Luthor's like, even though I know you're Clark Kent now, I'm not even going to care. I'm not going to be anyone's pawn. I'm going to sit back and watch you burn. I'm going to sit back and just watch you writhe in agony and just enjoy the show. And Superman is like, he's like convinced now that it's not Luthor. And it's probably some of the best dialogue of such their history. And Superman doesn't believe him at first. And then the Elite comes in. And even they're scared of Manchester Black. And keep in mind, guys, the Elite were meant to be a parody, kind of like a parody or homage to the Authority. In some ways. But yeah. And then Superman takes on a lot of his other opponents. He takes on Cyborg Superman. He takes on the Master Jailer again. And it's really cool to see Superman... He leaves Metropolis, and that's when all the other villains take over. And Manchester Black has also incorporated villains from different universes to help him fight, to basically wear down Superman. And it's just awesome. In fact, there's another scene where Superman encounters the Prankster, and after he beats down Bizarro, the Prankster's like, "Oh, no, you shouldn't have done this, you were supposed to die." And then Superman just picks up this huge wall of debris in his one hand, and his eyes are glowing, and he's throwing it at the Prankster, and the Prankster's like, wait, I'm not invulnerable, you can kill me, I'm mortal. And Superman just glares at him and says, "Then you better run." And he just runs for cover. And then, following that, is Mr. Mixelplix makes a cameo, and he's like, he looks at Superman and he's like, "Oh yeah, I love what you've done with Metropolis." And Superman glares at him with his eyes just burning red, ready to, basically fry him. He's like, "I can see you're busy. I'm gonna go back to my place. Yeah, bye." And he's actually scared of an angry Superman. And I thought that I actually laughed at that, chuckled a bit at that scene, because here's a guy who's omnipotent, and even he considers Superman below him. And yet, when Superman just gives him that one glare, he's like, "Bye." But it was just cool. It is kind of slow at the beginning, but the book does speed up a lot. And like I said, at the end, where Manchester Black has physically convinced Superman that he killed Lois Lane, because he actually kidnaps Lois Lane and mentally just destroys her. He just mentally ruins her mom. Like, it's horrible what he does to her. with all that power Manchester Black has. For those who don't know what Manchester Black's powers is that he is basically a very powerful telepath and telekinetic. He's basically like an evil Professor Xavier in some ways. He's so powerful in his mental abilities that he was capable of giving an aneurysm 3,000 miles away to one person. And keep in mind, that person was one of his teammates. She was gonna tell Superman it was Manchester Black all along, and then he gives her an aneurysm. And he's all the way in Metropolis. And the secret island base that Luthor was on was like in some place out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Very far range, like I said. Evil, pretty much like in some ways an evil Professor Xavier. Or better yet, Xavier if he was an evil British punk rocker. But yeah, this story was really good. Especially the ending was really worth it. Like I said, it really stands for what Superman is. That despite everything that is thrown at him, he will not stand down and be. He won't kill even for the worst reasons. And at the end, it's a really nice scene between Superman and Lois that I kind of miss now. I kind of miss this whole Superman and Lois thing. But yeah, it does have there are some really good fight scenes, especially. I mean, yeah, like I said before, it is slow and it does pick up speed when Superman returns to Metropolis. That's when the real fighting starts. In this comic book, that's where Superman really battles him. Especially, there's an ending. There's a battle before he takes on Manchester Black, where he has to fight Mongol, Silver Banshee, Bizarro, who's been given increased intelligence by Manchester Black, mind you, and the Master Jailer, all at once. And for those who don't, I forgot to mention the Master Jailer's powers. His powers are that he can control metal. But he uses them like chain links, and he's obsessed with imprisoning people, and he's obsessed with just hurting people for the sake of hurting them. So that's pretty disturbing. So he takes on all four: Mongol, Silver Banshee, Bizarro, and the Master Jailer, all at once. That's a really cool and a battle between him and them. So anyway, definitely this is a really good book. I got this in paperback for $14.99, or was it less than that? $14. I think it was $14.99 in the U.S. I can't remember how much it is in Canada, but this is definitely a book. Excuse me, a book worth getting. I highly recommend it. It's if you're a Superman fan and you really if you're like me who wish they would focus on other, or at least showcase other Superman villains rather than the big ones, the big names, it's definitely worth a read. F.W. Waller didn't really. I suggested it to him because he's always into the other Superman villains outside of the ones that are commonly known. But still, he thought it was okay. I think this is a really good book. In terms of just showcasing other villains, what Superman stands for, and how far he's willing to go, just to show that he is the better person. He won't falter in his morals. So, yeah. It's a definitely. I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5 because, like I said, the book does have a slow pace at the beginning, but it works up. It builds gradually. So yeah. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I'm out.